It's a very conscious effort to remove history to make black people forget their power.
Does racism still exist?
100%.
Why do you say 100%?
I'll be real, and it might be controversial, but I think now, as black people, we're more racist than white people.
In a world like this, we're always going to find ways to hate something else. And at the moment, racism still exists because there are people from different, there is always a difference, you will look different to someone else and you will be discriminated against for looking like someone else. And all the history of racism hasn't just stopped. It's manifested in more subtle ways, in more systematic ways that are maybe are not as explicit as they used to be, but they're still very obvious.
If you look at true racism, it started with the black man on the white man.
Right.
So I think this day and age that we're living in, there's too much stereotypical people saying, oh, if you say something bad against a black guy, that's racist.
Right.
I don't believe so.
Does racism still exist?
I believe so.
And why do you believe so?
Obviously, I'm a Chelsea supporter, and if you know about football stuff, and Chelsea fans are quite, they're notorious. They are notorious about racism and stuff.
Right.
So I went to a football game one time, and I tried to go to the pub just to get a Red Bull. I wanted to get a drink and then leave. Firstly, I thought it was quite hostile, So I entered. I literally heard somebody say orangutan. Orangutan. Do I look like an orangutan?
Put him a monkey.
Yeah. Do I look like a monkey?
Like mental health systems in the UK, the disproportionate amount of black people who are diagnosed with a psychotic illness versus white people is huge. Whether it's antisocial personality disorder, psychosis, and racism underpins that. In maternity care, black women are far more likely to die in childbirth because their pain's dismissed. So I think, racism absolutely still exists.
I think it still exists because if you look at all across the UK right now, there are protests in Essex, in front of the Bell Hotel.
Yeah.
They assume one person, right, may have committed a crime, but they assume every single person that have come here to get a better life for themselves is a criminal.
Can black people be racist?
No, they can discriminate, but racism, the definition of racism has to come with a history of oppression. White people have never had a history of oppression from black people. So a black person can discriminate against a white person, but they can't be racist because racism comes from a whole race being oppressed.
Black people can definitely be racist. And then you start looking at the crime rate and you start looking at this and that. So then, it snowballs into percentages of how many black guys are in the world, how many black guys are in jail.
Don't be horrible to anyone, regardless of skin. We're all human, regardless. If I go to a white person and say the man, regardless, just don't be rude.
There's a word that white people don't like to be called, the C word.
What's the C word?
I'm not gonna say it.
If I like biscuits, I also like.
Yeah, you get it?
With my tea, I might have some.
There we go.
I'm trying to say
but I'm not saying that.
But regardless, we're all human, bro. Racism, rudeness, stop being rude. Regardless, why?
Because white people are the people who are privileged. I think maybe black people can be discriminatory, but I don't think they can be racist.
So I heard that earlier. What's the difference, would you say?
If you benefit from something. So someone can just say a discriminatory comment, but white people inherently benefit from systems of oppression, as opposed to if a black person says something to someone of a different ethnicity, it's a comment.
When we talk about racism, why do we always tend to just lean on what white people have done and not other races?
I feel like white people stuff has been the most impactful.
For history, innit? Yeah. So
it's been the most impactful. So obviously, because it's the most impactful, it's in people's minds. Subconsciously, straight away, you're always gonna remember slavery. That's straight away.
Our ancestors had to endure all of that. So
had to be oppressed. So man, literally free them boys.
The reason that they focus on white people, is because white people are the ones that created the whole structure of racism. Prior to white people, prior to the 1600s, there was no idea of race. The idea of race came from white people to use that to subjugate people of a darker caste. That's why we focus on them. They're the ones who also created the whole system that we live in that penalizes, discriminates against, oppresses, and ostracizes people of all other races.
They are behind the biggest historical aspects of racism. Other countries, you know, like where I come from, there's colorism. You know, in Egypt there's colorism. The darker you are, the less beautiful you are. But this colorism is perpetuated by a history of colonialism because, you know, people from the West had come to these countries and told them white people are superior, white people are the most beautiful. And that has gone through generations to make us believe that, you know, being white is the most beautiful, is the most powerful thing to be or have.
When we speak about racism, why do we always tend to lean on what white people have done and not what other races have done?
I think we lean on what white people have done is because I think they've done the worst, or it's been most documented on, at least. When you think about it, Arab people have had slaves that are black, even African people, but at the end of the day, white people have been the ones that have made it 10 times worse, a lot worse. When you think about it, it's white people have unfortunately done the worst to our race.
I think because the West has a lot to answer for. If you look at like things that America's been involved in, things the UK's been involved in across the world, mostly that is like the root of things, and then it travels across from there. So I'm not the person to know all the answers, but I do look at things and I'm just like, how can we possibly turn around and deny people from like the Middle East and places like that assistance when for decades our countries have been involved in their oppression?
If you look back in history, and if you look at 1.6% of Americans had black slaves back in the day, but before that, the white man was the slave to the Africans.
Okay, right.
So, you know, this whole stereotypical thing about being a black guy, oh man, everyone hates the black guy. That's bullshit, man. Everyone loves the black guy.
They use underhand methods to try and make black people and other people of colour believe that they are worth less, so it's easier to take over, go to Africa, take resources, use those resources and build up their country. Black Lives Matter, free Palestine, all of that, free Sudan, free Congo, free all of that.